We need to talk about what's happening with Meghan Markle because this situation is getting messier by the day. Not only has her new Netflix cooking show become a complete PR disaster before it even launches, but the behind-the-scenes drama is actually wild. And trust me, by the end of this video, you'll understand why Netflix might finally be done with the Sussexes. So, Meghan just made this huge return to Instagram trying to rebrand herself for 2025. She posted this video of herself running on a beach, writing 2025 in the sand, trying to give off these carefree, relatable vibes. But here's what's interesting, and it's just her. No Harry, no kids, not even their dogs. Just Meghan on a beach, trying to convince everyone she's living her best life. And then, literally days later, Netflix drops the trailer for her new cooking show with Love Meghan. And oh my god, when I tell you it's a disaster! Let me explain exactly what's happening here. First off, let's talk about this show's concept. Meghan's trying to position herself as this lifestyle guru, cooking in what's supposed to be her home kitchen. Except, and this is where it gets interesting, she's not even filming in her actual house. They rented a location, brought in all these Hollywood friends as guests, and tried to make it look authentic. But that's just the beginning. According to inside sources, Meghan is absolutely furious with Netflix right now. She's apparently called executives demanding they fire the entire marketing team because she believes they purposely sabotaged her by making a bad trailer. Like, imagine having a show about cooking and hospitality, and your first move is trying to get an entire department fired. But here's where it gets really interesting. Netflix isn't backing down. When Meghan demanded they pull the show and push back the release date, they basically said no. Think about that. Just a few years ago, Netflix was paying them millions. Now they're not even willing to redo a trailer. And get this, Netflix is actually leaving the comments on for the trailer on their YouTube channel. They've gotten over 20,000 complaints and threats of boycotts, but they're keeping those comments up. Why? Because all that engagement, even if it's negative, is actually good for their numbers. But wait, because it gets even better. People have started noticing that Meghan's entire show concept seems familiar. Specifically, it looks a lot like Emma Martin's cooking show. You know, the actual Marchioness of Bath who does all the things Meghan's trying to pretend she does. Let me break down the similarities. Emma cooks in her actual estate kitchen. She has her own beehives, she makes her own jam, she's married to actual nobility. She's authentically living this lifestyle. Meanwhile, Meghan's cooking in a rented house, with rented bees, yes, really, making what people are calling janky jam, and pretending this is her everyday life. Now, this is where things get really interesting. Meghan's team is trying everything they can to save this situation. You know what their brilliant strategy is? Suddenly remembering they have kids. I'm not even joking. After 5 years of keeping their children completely hidden, they're now pushing this year-old story about how they took Archie and Lilibet to Costa Rica. And the timing? Come on, right when everyone's criticizing the show, suddenly there are all these stories about what a great mom Meghan is. They even brought out this emotional post about her dog Guy passing away. Now, don't get me wrong, losing a pet is heartbreaking. But the way they're using this for PR, it's giving very much please like me energy. Let's talk about what's really happening with Netflix because this is wild. According to inside sources, and when I say inside sources, I mean people actually working at Netflix, they are completely done with the Sussexes. This cooking show isn't just a last attempt, it's Netflix trying to squeeze whatever content they can before their contract ends in April. Think about it. They gave the show zero marketing budget. They announced it just 2 weeks before release, in January, which is literally the worst time to launch a summer cooking show. And when Meghan complained, they basically shrugged. That's how far their star has fallen. And it's not just Netflix. Even other celebrities are starting to distance themselves. Mindy Kaling went on the Golden Globes and tried to hype up the show, talking about how extraordinary Meghan's cooking is and how she visited her house with the chickens.
Baby, and I think I was like 2 months postpartum, and she texted me and was like, do you want to be in my show? And when you hang out with Meghan, you know the food is going to be good. And so it's just nice to have someone else be cooking for me. And I was like, I'll come to Montecito and have you cook for me and go to your garden. And that's what we did.
I love that. Cooking is a love language.
But here's the thing. She was paid to be on the show. This wasn't friends hanging out. This was a paid appearance. Even Meghan McCain, who used to be a huge supporter, came out and absolutely dragged the show. She called it tone deaf and said that while Americans can't even afford groceries, Meghan's out here elevating hummus in a rented kitchen. But here's what's really fascinating about all this. Meghan's trying to rebrand herself as this casual California girl who just loves cooking and gardening. She's going by just Meghan on Instagram, like she's Cher or Madonna. But she's still using Duchess of Sussex in her title. And get this, she didn't even use the before Duchess, which in royal circles is basically saying you're divorced. Is she trying to tell us something? Because the way she's presenting herself in this show, all alone, no Harry, new branding, it's giving very much preparing for single life vibes. Here's where it gets really interesting. Netflix actually has data showing that people watch Sussex content, but not in the way Meghan and Harry want. Their projects tank, but people love watching videos criticizing their projects. That YouTube trailer with all the negative comments? It's got 1.7 million views in 4 days. Think about that. Netflix is literally making more money off people hating the show than they probably will from people watching it. But you know what's really at the heart of all this? Meghan doesn't understand that you can't PR your way out of being unlikable. She's literally been voted more disliked than P. Diddy. And this is while he's dealing with serious allegations. The only person who might beat her for most disliked celebrity this year is Blake Lively. And that's saying something. And listen, it gets even messier. Remember that lifestyle brand she tried to launch, American Riviera Orchard? It's literally collecting dust. She can't even get the trademark approved, and the Instagram account looks like a ghost town. But instead of trying to fix that, she's starting this whole new Just Meghan brand. Like, imagine having a lifestyle brand you're trying to launch, and then doing a cooking show under a completely different brand name. Make it make sense. This is exactly why people say she has the worst marketing strategy in Hollywood. And where's Harry in all this? Supposedly, he's the one who filmed that beach video for her Instagram debut. But isn't it interesting that that's his only contribution? He's nowhere in the cooking show, nowhere in the press releases, nowhere in any of the marketing. Remember how they used to be this united front, always talking about we and us? Now it's just Meghan, trying to make it on her own. And the way she's positioning everything, it's like she's preparing for a solo career, if you know what I mean. Now this is where it gets really good. You know how Meghan's always had these rumors about being difficult to work with? Well, according to sources at Netflix, she's living up to that reputation. When she called to demand they fire the entire marketing team, the executives literally just nodded along and ignored her. Think about that. 3 years ago, one complaint from Meghan could get people fired from major networks. Now, Netflix executives are treating her calls like those spam ones about your car's extended warranty. And here's the thing about this show that nobody's talking about. The timing is absolutely terrible. She's releasing this summery, light cooking show right when people are facing an Arctic freeze. She's showing off her fancy, elevated recipes while people can't afford groceries. She's pretending to be this relatable mom while cooking in a rented mansion with paid celebrity friends. Like, read the room, Meghan. This isn't 2018 anymore. You can't just wave a royal title around and expect people to care. But you know what's really fascinating? Netflix is actually playing this brilliantly. They know exactly what they're doing. They've figured out that Meghan and Harry content gets views, just not the kind of views the Sussexes want. Think about it. They barely marketed the show. They're letting all the negative comments stay up. They're releasing it at the worst possible time. They're not even trying to protect her image anymore. They're basically using the controversy to generate buzz. And then they'll probably use all this negative feedback as their reason for not renewing the contract in April. And it's not just Netflix. Other celebrities are starting to distance themselves too. When was the last time you saw any A-listers publicly supporting them? Even Oprah's been quiet lately. The only ones speaking up are the ones being paid to appear on the show. This is how fast things can change in Hollywood. 1 minute you're having lunch with Oprah and hanging out with George Clooney. The next minute you can't even get people to defend you on social media. But here's what might actually be the final nail in the coffin. Meghan's trying to use her dog's passing and these mysterious Costa Rica vacation photos to generate sympathy, but it's backfiring completely. People are seeing through it. They're calling it exactly what it is. A desperate PR move from someone who's running out of options. So where does this leave Meghan? Her Netflix deal is probably ending in April. Her lifestyle brand is dead in the water. Her cooking show is being dragged before it even launches. And she's rebranding herself as Just Meghan, while still desperately clinging to her Duchess title. The sad thing is, she could have avoided all this. If she had just been authentic from the beginning, if she had actually connected with her fans instead of acting above them, if she had focused on building something real instead of just chasing headlines, But here we are, 5 years later, watching what might be the end of the Sussex media empire. Let me know what you think in the comments. Would you watch Meghan's cooking show? Do you think Netflix will renew their contract? And what do you make of Harry being completely absent from all this? Don't forget to like and subscribe for more celebrity deep dives and updates on this ongoing situation.